Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of UC Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto, and I have a good friend of mine on the show, Sam Kennedy. Sam and I go back between the two of us. It's got to be at least 100 years in the industry if you add them both together. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm just about recovered. I've just about finished going through all my files and my reports from Infocom, and this is the first Infocom that I have ever had where I could not walk the floor. I had so many things to do in terms of appointments that I was back to back to back to back. And you had the opposite experience because you're now with the team at NetSpeak, which again, in 100% clarity, I was an early advisor to NetSpeak. Your boss, the CEO, Eric, good guys, I understand with the technologies, and I couldn't spend any time to come see you. You were in the back of the hall next to Neat. And I got to Neat, but I couldn't make it over to see you. So hopefully this makes up for a little bit of that. How are things going at NetSpeak nowadays?
Things going extremely well. We've announced we came out of the stealth mode as a company about a year and a half ago with some ideas, and we were explaining what we ultimately wanted to do of bringing AI to help solve some of the long-standing industry challenges. And this year at Infocom, we really realized that full circle of finding problems and fixing problems before end users even realize there actually even is a problem.
So let's take a step back for people who might not be familiar with this. Well, I'm Joe or John or Jane user in the AV and collaboration space in the IT space. And what problem are you trying to address that you can help me solve?
Yeah, so for most organizations, they're inherently, when you think of UC, AV, digital signage, they're inherently, in their spaces are inherently multiple vendor. I may have a video bar manufacturer, I may have a display manufacturer, I may have some AV content sharing, just expand that out, networking. And so in general, for most organizations, they have all of these different all these disparate technologies and different vendors, and then having to have them all work together seamlessly doesn't always work out, right? You can have a high percentage for your spaces, but still I think that there is this thought and attitude that my rooms aren't always working. And that could be my conference rooms, my classrooms. Expand that out to anywhere where there's technology. And what we've built is an AI platform that looks at all those technologies and provides an administrative support capability that keeps those rooms up and running at an extremely high percentage with little to no human intervention.
And even if I'm not that case, even if I'm the case where I have picked almost everything from one vendor, there's my network switch.
Of course.
There's the power plug in the wall.
Yeah.
There are things that simply are not being monitored by the systems that are provided by some of these manufacturers. So the idea of having that capability, I assume, status, I
Yeah.
assume troubleshooting. I mean,
Well,
what
well, let,
kind
let
of
me
people?
touch on it just a minute, because
Sure.
I think the industry for 20 years has really been focused on monitoring. Is the technology up and working? Is it online, offline? Kind of joke like the idea of a dashboard of a Christmas tree, red light, green light. That's a bit it's a bit an old school way of doing things. And so you really hit on it. Is what we're providing is that autonomous capability for the administrators, not just saying if something's online or offline, but literally getting into the system to understand if is it working the way that my users want it to be working, and if it's not, then automatically fixing it and finding it. Or in many cases, let's say it's a physical problem in a space. LENA, our product, our platform, will go in there and assist the administrators with what to do in order to get the room back up and running.
Okay, so at a high level, and again, you're going to show this to us, which is
Yeah.
the cool thing about today, but at a high level, if something goes wrong and Lena can fix it, she fixes it.
Yeah.
If it goes wrong and she can't fix it, she can not only tell everybody where to go to fix it, but then that lowers the skill set required of the person going to the room because the instructions are going to be at a very detailed level for somebody. So you may not need a level 2 or level 3, level 4 diagnostic person. Lena's doing that. You may just need a level 1 support person to go into the room and follow the instructions.
That is right on. I hear all the time that I have to send someone So a talented person, they have to drive 2 to 3 hours away to fix a problem, and that the problem becomes something like just rebooting the device or something relatively trivial. And so when you think of what we're doing with Lena is just removing, especially that noise of bottom 10, 20% where I don't need someone physically to go into the space, or I don't necessarily need an extremely talented person. We have lots of talented people in the AV and UC space. And so with Lena, we were able to enable generalized IT staff to support spaces, which ultimately scales our whole industry.
And we haven't used those two funny letters yet, the A followed by the I, but that's essentially what we're talking about here. It's not a large language model, it's not a small language model, but it's using that type of intelligence in order to be able to get this done, right?
That's absolutely correct. And so, there's a lot of buzzwords around AI and a lot of people talking about it, but and in certain cases there's a lot of marketing hype, especially I think in our industry. And so, yeah, I didn't say AI, but ultimately we've been able to take advantage of this moment in time with AI and build a platform around it. But as I said, right, it's much more focused. What we're more focused on is what are the real problems that we're trying to solve for, and we're leveraging AI to solve those problems. It's not just AI for AI's sake. It's what do the end users and what do the customers and organizations need to be successful, and we've built a platform leveraging AI that executes on that.
Okay, so show me. Let's
Okay.
do the demo, and then I'll have more questions for you as we go, and then when you're done.
So we launched the platform LENA. LENA stands for Language Enabled Network Administrator. Part of the reason it's called LENA is I have natural language, so you can just talk to LENA. And we launched the product in October of 2025. At ISC, we previewed a new troubleshooting capability that was administrator led. We launched that in April. And now what we've demonstrated at InfoComm this year is that full autonomous circle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share with so let me bring up my content here. And I'm going to walk you through what we were demonstrating, or at least somewhat similar to what we were showing at the booth at InfoComm. So
And I'm
we have
going to
a
leave this on as a standard traditional share on our collaboration platform because it's going to be easier to have just that box of you talking while we see what's going on.
perfect, perfect. Okay, so what we have here is just I have a camera that's just streaming on YouTube, and it is a typical conference room. So I just have a live stream going that we're looking into this room. So here we have a neat bar, Samsung display, and a neat pad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Lena. So here is the Lena user interface, and I'm going to go into what we had at InfoComm. We had what we called this the base station. So it was basically our booth that we moved back to the office. So again, here you can see that neat bar, the Samsung, the neat pad. And one of the things that we announced at InfoComm is a partnership with Netgear, where traditionally or up till now we've been AV/UC digital signage. We've now started to expand that into networking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage Lena to actually break the system. And so what we have here is this neat bar is actually connected to the Netgear switch in port one. So you can see that little one there. So I'm going to go into the Netgear switch and I'm going to use some of the API capabilities. So I'm going to go and so that again, the port that I'm looking at that neat device is connected to is port number one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the incorrect VLAN. So we're going to switch it to VLAN number two. So again, what I'm just doing here is in Lena is I have the ability to leverage APIs on these devices to control them. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm breaking it. And so what's happening now is there's a little delay because of the YouTube stream, but what's happening is I took the neat bar off, and what you'll see momentarily, the first thing that will be kind of a clue to us that something's wrong is we're going to see that neat pad is going to lose connectivity to the neat bar, right? So the Zoom application that's running on the neat pad, and again, some of this is just timeout. So there you go. So we just lost connectivity to the neat bar. In a few minutes, you'll see that even the neat bar will have an alert as well. But what you can notice here is Lena just sent up an alert, so she knows now that there was a problem on that particular device. And
And
what's happening?
that didn't come from you making
I
the
did not
change.
touch anything, right? All I did was I screwed the room up, but now all of this is autonomous, automatically happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
So Lena routed that ticket to herself. It's not resolved. So you see that little dash there. You can see some of the other alerts that we've gotten. And what Lena now is doing is she's now troubleshooting that overall experience. So I could see here, which she's looking at that issue, and this is all happening relatively quickly. It actually just went back online if you notice how fast that went. But she just like a human being, she's now looking at is this a building problem? Is it a room problem? She then narrows down, okay, it looks like it's a device problem. She then goes, okay, it looks like it's a switch port problem. Now she doesn't know that the correct VLAN is one, but she's inferring that from all the other connected devices that VLAN one is the correct one. She sends that she on her own reconfigures that port, and now the device is online. If I switch back, it's likely to already. You can see the knee pad already. Even before I could switch back there, that knee pad went online. So this room, while it was down for a minute there because maybe someone made a misconfiguration, in a couple of minutes, what was that? A couple of minutes, she was able to find the problem, figure out what the actual, find out that there was a problem, find out and do the troubleshooting to find out what the actual problem was, and then implement the fix, all with no human in the loop.
So if a network administrator somewhere in the building has decided to reconfigure all of the ports because there's now a new security issue, instead of having to put in a whole bunch of tickets in the morning,
Correct.
that's in real time.
Yeah.
She's monitoring the system. She's going to switch that port back to the way the last known good configuration compared to the other ports that were working.
Correct. Yeah. So here
Wow.
is, isn't that
I
amazing?
saw it in real time. I saw the orange
Yeah.
turn green again.
Yeah, and it's now there's one other thing I'd like to show you if I could,
Okay.
just to kind of build on top of this, because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are going to get pretty sensitive about a lot of this stuff. But I do think it's important to call out that we also have built in a number, like one of the other key things that we were demonstrating at Infocom, that when you see this full autonomous experience, we've built in a number of guardrails around this so that we can limit what has autonomy. We can be very granular and narrow on things like the full autonomy could be in my huddle spaces, but not my boardrooms or not my training rooms. We've actually adopted a protocol that Amazon has launched called Cedar. So that allows natural language to and allows organizations to have a full policy around automation and AI. And so we believe we're one of the first companies out there that have adopted this policy that we can implement. So we're not just having this full autonomy and AI be able to do whatever it wants within my environment. We can get very, very granular and narrow down. I don't want to go through all of that here to take a lot of time, but just understand that the guardrails are built into this to get very granular on what you allow the AI or even the
So if I
users to have.
didn't want Lena to mess with my switch ports while I'm not there, I can turn that off. It'll still troubleshoot it, it'll still find it, but it'll wait for me to come in as an administrator to say, yeah, go ahead, you can do that if
Yeah,
I want
so
it that
I
way.
can narrow that down even further than that. I can say don't even do troubleshooting. So all of that is possible. Our engineers, when we were working on the demo, they got very sensitive about an AI going into a switch and making changes. But we wanted to demonstrate that just to show the just how far we can go with this. So just think of if we can do the switch port on the Netgear, of course we can do configurations on your Neat Bar, on your Zoom room, on your Teams room, on just expand it out. We were doing it on Cisco devices and on Barco devices were demonstrations we were showing at Infocom. So we kind of showed almost the extreme example at Infocom, but just to really show the power of this full autonomous solution.
What are the other kinds of things that Lena can do autonomously in terms of troubleshooting? What are the kind of breaks she can fix?
Configuration drift is one of the things that happens all the time. I would say some of the bigger verticals that we've been talking to is higher education, a lot of financial services. I mean, I all the customers I talk to, end customers, seem to be interested in what we're doing. Those just verticals seem to be leading the charge on who's talking to us. But think of someone goes into a classroom and the person that left the cloud, that maybe they're watching World Cup and they go in and change the inputs on the displays, or someone logs a device out. You can start to think of anything that a human being, or any, if there's an API that Lena can have access to control and manipulate devices, those are problems that she can fix. And in our industry, APIs are quite extensive. So there is just an endless amount of issues that Lena can solve for. And not only solve it for per device, but she looks at it like it's a complete solution. So she looks at how device one is talking to device two, that's talking to device three, and then looks at that with some intelligence, not just online, offline, but looks at it as a complete system, and then brings that intelligence to solve all of these problems.
What are some of the other brand and model types that you're able to manage through this?
So we've continued to expand that out. So HP Poly, Neat, Samsung, Sony, Shure, Sennheiser, Avocor, Cisco, Jabra. We just announced Jabra this last week. So it's a pretty extensive, Barco, very extensive list of partners. We've had a lot of manufacturers that have wanted to work with us. As we've heard, it's all well documented on our doc site, so docs.netspeak.ai. You can see all the capabilities that are there, all the manufacturers are there that are there. So, and we just continue to expand that out for customers that there are certain vendors that we don't support. I would encourage you to talk to us, as we're just continually adding vendors, really being driven by which vendors customers want us to add.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been looking at cloud services and cloud management in this space for my entire career, and the most we've ever really gotten to up until this point, including some companies that are out there with offerings right now, have been the concept of working together. I'd like you to work in the cloud with me. I'm going to create this organization to work in the cloud, so we'll build standards around it, whatever. But one of the things I've learned is when you don't actually have a solution, oftentimes you launch an organization. That's the best you can do, is sort of build a consortium. But you got this thing out there actually working, actually
Yeah.
troubleshooting. Is it installed in some client bases at this point?
We do. We have paying customers right now. We're still early, admittedly. As I said, we just launched the platform in October of 2025, but we do have paying customers. We have a number, quite a few pilots going. We have paying customers, pilots. So no, we're in production. Again, some of the we have the administrator-led troubleshooting, which we showed everyone earlier this year. That's in the shipping product right now. We expect to what I just showed you today, just within the next few weeks, the next couple of months, everything I've showed you and beyond, you'll see as a shipping product as well.
And if I wanted to get this as an end user, am I getting it from you? Am I getting it from my integrator? Am I getting it from a third party? What's your go-to-market
So
strategy?
our go-to-market right now is pretty much all of the above. So we're direct to end customers right now. We just launched a channel program. So we have as it's been early, direct to end customers just made sense as kind of the timing. But we're very channel focused, friendly, channel first kind of organization. And so we are working with a number of different channels. So if you are an end customer, you can come directly to us, or I'd encourage you to talk to your channel and have them reach out to us. We are working with a number of MSPs. That's a little from MSPs. The platform can support MSPs. There's still a couple of gaps there that will finish throughout the year. So I would encourage any channel, MSP, and end customer to reach out to us and see where you are on the journey, see where you are around AI, see what kind of problems you have, and then talk to us about setting up a pilot for you as well.
See, I know it's what you're doing is serious and it's game changing, because as I walked around with my appointments at Infocom, you started hearing people talk about how they're going to do things just like it. I heard from a number of companies that were launching MCP servers, and going up to Claude. I heard that there were companies talking about, well, it's just they're ahead, but we'll have something like that soon. And you guys are out with it. So
We're out with it.
it's
Yeah,
it's
and
really.
it's encouraging that all these announcements around MCP are encouraging that the industry is finally starting to take AI seriously, and that people I think are starting to build some features that can start to connect the dots. But where we are is significantly, as you said, I think much further beyond that. We've ran into a lot of the challenges that a lot of these organizations that are just trying to build it. And again, I don't want to discourage anyone, right? I think that those that are vibe coding solutions, they absolutely should. I want to encourage everybody to see what's possible. It's a whole new world, and there's so much opportunity out there to leverage technologies in ways that we just never could. So again, I want to encourage everybody to leverage those technologies. But I think as you look and you start to look at scale, you're talking 100, 200, thousands of rooms. I think you're going to want a solution that we've pulled all of this together. So anyone could, of course, build by partner. I think that we are a good solution for a lot of those organizations that are just looking for a tool that's going to enable them. I would definitely reach out to us. But of course, everyone should. I would encourage everyone to start. I think once you start playing and trying to build some of what we've built, I think you'll start to realize like how much is how many problems we've already solved underneath this in
Yeah.
order to get to where we are.
You and I had an early conversation, as well as Eric and myself, about the idea that you were going to go out and crawl to get updated data on a regular basis. Have you put that into place yet, or is that
Yeah,
still
so we have
roadmap?
so sorry for that. Yeah, we have a platform that we call Iris. So it's kind of a back end. So LENA is the front end. That's what people are interfacing with. And then there's a bit of a back end platform called Iris. And so what Iris does is NetSpeak works with a lot of the manufacturers. They give us data, point us to where things are. And then this Iris platform does a lot of what you're describing. So it's a lot of that is automated, and that we're able to get the data, keep the data updated, and we have big plans ultimately of what we want to do with Iris and enabling people to plug into this and have access. That's a little further down. I don't want to make any announcements just yet, but it does give us like we've architected the solution to be very modular, but also allows it to leverage AI to keep everything updated, allows us to scale, add manufacturers very quickly. So as there's a lot of vendors that talked to us last week that want to be part of what we're building, and
Mhm.
so we've built this tool that allows us to scale that
So
quite
to
quickly.
make that concrete, just as the last
Mhm.
point, if you've got a display manufacturer, let's say, that has come out with a new model display or some new firmware for an existing model display, your ability, once you release it with this Iris platform, will be able
Correct.
to go out, get that firmware, ask if you want the firmware update done, do the firmware update, but then also have the latest troubleshooting information in case something goes wrong with that new platform.
Correct. This, some of that is still to be built. Things like we can't do software updates just yet, but you can see like that's just the next thing to come, right? And so, we've been focusing on building a really strong base. That's been the priority for the last 2 years is build the base, and now we're able to go quite quickly. So everything you're saying is either we do that today or we'll be able to do that in the very near term.
And I saw some of your team's social media posts. The team's gotten bigger, hasn't it?
We have been. It's been very exciting that we've been able to grow, and it's just been. I've been here 2 years, and I think Dave, you and I, like you said, you and I go way back, and I worked on the manufacturer side for 20 plus years, and so now I would say I was part of the problem, right? That we built these tools that we were not encouraged to make it all work together, and so to be here for 2 years and really start to see our vision come to fruition, and that we're really solving these problems in this way is and the fact that we're able to hire more people and get more customers. I think it's been so exciting for me is that with a solution like this, everyone wins and customers get better uptime. They get better technology in more spaces. The manufacturers can deploy technology in more spaces. The channels get to do more integration and more, and they get to sell more devices. So it's really, it is part of my 30 years in this industry to be part of a solution where it's just all boats will rise has really been a lot of fun.
And it's not just hiring people, like in more heads, more bodies. The names of people that are joining you, Dan Root is now part of your
Yep.
organization. Osman is part of your organization. Deb Alexander, who I just saw the other day, is now part of your organization. You got some
Spencer.
quality people. So when you see good people going into an organization, yourself, Eric as well, then it starts to tell you that more than one person sees this going in the right direction.
And if we were to, you could say those same thing on a bunch of all of our developers. We have very seasoned, very experienced developers. So we're a relatively small team, but we leverage a lot of the tools that exist today. So we're very AI focused, not just in the product, but on everything that we do. And so we think with a small group of really motivated people trying to solve really big problems, this is the way to do it. So we're really excited about where we already are and what's ahead of us over the next 6, 12, 24 months.
All right, so
We're
last question. You sold me. I want to take out my wallet and buy it. What do I do? What's my next step?
So your next step is again, you could reach out to your channel or you reach out directly to me, Sam at NetSpeak, and that's two E's, NETSPEEK.com. I would encourage you to go to our website where we have a lot of the demos, netspeak.ai. So just or reach out to us on LinkedIn, add Lena. Lena has her own LinkedIn account, so you could do that, add her there as well. But just reach out to us, ask for a demo, ask for a conversation, and we'd love to share with you and get you set up for a proof of concept pilot and start to roll this out.
Sam, thanks very much for the time. I appreciate it. I'll ask you and possibly Eric and Dan and Deb and everybody else to come back on, next time you have your next big release coming out. But
Love
I
that.
did want to spend a little bit of time with you because I missed you at InfoComm, and I do think that this is going to be a game-changing product in our space because, again, it will allow for the kind of scale in management that's never existed before. And that's really something that I think is going to be exciting. So thank you for spending the time with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
And thank you for watching as you do every week. Next week, we will probably have more conversations around what we saw at InfoComm. But until then, thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.